Vacant land fraud is becoming a regular occurrence right here in Deltona, Florida. Don't think it can happen to you? You think it's happening just in Deltona? Think again. Today, I'll be sharing the methods criminals are using as well as an actual, real-life fraudulent sale that I experienced. Then, I'll give a practical way that you may be able to help protect yourself against this type of fraud. It's my hope that this information will help you to avoid becoming a victim of vacant land fraud. It's important to note that I am not an attorney and I do not provide legal advice in any way. I'm Chuck Shaver and I'm a local realtor that has, unfortunately, I have way too much experience with this type of real estate fraud. I'm sure that there are other ways people are being scammed that I don't know of. If you believe that you've been a victim of fraud, you should contact your local police immediately. So, let's jump right into how they did it. Well, they started off with an email telling me that they wanted to sell their property. When I called them, the conversation was pretty short. But they asked how much I could sell the property for in a very short period of time. They indicated that they were looking to make another investment and wanted out of their land. All pretty typical stuff. Sellers come with all sorts of personalities and baggage, so no alarms are going off here. The alleged seller was pleasant and responsive, so I sent him the documents to get the property on the market. After I viewed and walked the property, I checked the names and all that good stuff. He promptly signed the documents and the property was listed. Before we get to the buyer's involvement, take a quick second to support this channel by hitting the like and subscribe buttons and click that notification bell if you'd like more information about the Central Florida real estate market. Of course, if you have real estate needs, feel free to either comment in the comment section below or reach out to us directly. Within a few days, we had a cash buyer for the property and we proceeded towards closing. Still, no alarms. The seller indicated that he was in Europe for a couple weeks, which again is really nothing out of the ordinary. Then, a couple days prior to closing, there was some sort of minor issue with the notary. I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was a delay of a day or so that they could line up a new notary. However, they got everything worked out and everyone was happy. Now, fast forward about a month or so, and I'm sitting in my living room with my family at like 8 o'clock at night, and I get a phone call from the buyer, and we started with small talk. Everything was pleasant and all that. He then noted that he was online looking for some more properties, and that he saw his property was listed for sale as active on the market. My heart sunk. My first question was, which website did he see it on? You see, some websites have a whole lot of unreliable information, but he indicated that he saw it on Realtor.com, which I personally consider pretty reliable. And he also saw it on several other websites, so I opened up my laptop and I saw that it was, in fact, for sale. Of course, I contacted the other realtor that had the property on the market. We initially suspected that it was the other realtor that had been scammed, as she was like an hour away from the property and it just didn't make sense that someone would list a property with an out-of-area realtor. But after much discussion with the title company and a conversation with the local police over the next couple weeks, it was determined that it was me and the buyer that had been scammed. Well, really, it was the buyer was a victim. It turns out that the notary was the one that never existed or was bogus. I don't really know. After a couple months, the buyer was able to recover his money, or at least most of it, because of the title policy he received with the purchase of the property. You might say that he was made whole, but during this time he spent a good bit of time making plans to build the home. He also ordered trusses and he had other expenses which were unrecoverable as they weren't part of the purchase price. Since this event, I've received other similar emails seeking my services, and other local realtors have as well. One of them, being familiar with my story, shared his information with me, and it was almost verbatim exactly what happened with my situation. I recently had one similar seller reach out to me and they were a bit more convincing. However, something still smelled amiss. So I reached out to the manager of a title company that I worked with for years and had them do some research. They were actually able to connect with the real seller on the phone, who noted that they were not selling the property. It was that smell in this case that saved me. It was just a few days later that I saw that same property hit the market with another local realtor. Of course, I called the realtor and she quickly took that property off the market, and she was grateful that I told her. I've now seen a few of these cases that have all been in Deltona, but I'm almost certain that they're happening throughout the Orlando area, the state of Florida, and I'm betting they're happening all across the U.S. So, what can you do? I mean, they aren't reaching out to the real property owners, but to the realtors. Well, if it were me, I'd be setting up a search on some local websites looking for property on your street in your town. Yes, you might be getting some extra emails, some junk emails that mean nothing to you except for maybe helping you to understand the value of your property. But you might be glad you did when you get an email notification with your property as the one that's being sold. If that happens, reach out to the listing realtor immediately and contact the local authorities to determine if you're a potential victim of vacant land fraud. If you're a local realtor, if you don't have a verbal conversation with a potential seller, give it the smell test. I did speak with them and I was still impacted. Maybe reach out to a title company and ask them to do some homework on your behalf. Obviously, not everyone is a crook, but whenever I've questioned legitimate sellers and had them jump through a few hoops for me to verify that they were legitimate, they've always been pretty fine with that. If you've been a victim, make a quick note below of what happened so that you can help prevent it from happening to others. If you have land here in Deltona or anywhere else here in Central Florida, let me know how I might be able to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.